I think about Magnum, I don't know, maybe once a month, if they're lucky. And every kid on Magnum's team is probably thinking about me when they wake up in the morning, when they go to bed, when they brush their teeth, when they're in class. So, I don't know. I probably have about the United States acreage worth of real estate in their heads, and they probably have, I don't know, a quarter acre in mine. So, you do the math.
So we're here with MSU Ultimate Frisbee captain Dex Draymond, and he's gonna give us a little bit of background information about himself. Dex?
Yeah, no worries. So, I was just talking to you earlier about this, but I'm originally from Falmouth, Maine, which is a small town sort of on the coast in southern Maine. Growing up, I always played Ultimate. I ended up, when I was a senior, playing varsity basketball, varsity golf, and varsity Ultimate for our high school. Ended up coming to Michigan State for a few reasons, first of which is both my parents attended Michigan State, so I sort of always grew up a Spartan. Second reason being that the Broad College of Business really appealed to me, and the third reason being that I discovered a program called the Financial Markets Institute, which is a scholarship that very closely aligned with what I was trying to get out of my college experience. So sort of for all those reasons, ended up transitioning to Michigan, and now I'm here, yeah.
So you are the captain of the MSU Men's Ultimate Frisbee team. What got you into Ultimate Frisbee?
Yeah, so I initially started playing structured Ultimate around 8th grade and played up through high school, but sort of before that, I'd sort of grown up with a Frisbee around. Me and my brother always used to toss. Growing up on the water, we had a big beach where we'd usually go out summer afternoons and just play all day. So I'd sort of always been involved with Frisbee in some capacity or another. And then, later on in middle school, realized we had a program and sort of started to pursue that more competitively.
So what is your favorite thing about MSU Ultimate?
So I think my favorite thing about sort of the MSU Ultimate culture and community that exists is it seems to be a really good balance between your Division I intense athletes and then also more of your social life, social groups such as Greek life or other social groups that exist. So for me, it was a really healthy balance between the two. I still get to play sports like I did in high school and compete at a pretty high level. But on the flip side of the coin, we have a great group of guys, a bunch of houses that we can have social events at. So for me, it was a really great opportunity to sort of blend those two together. And also, people are very bad at Frisbee and unathletic in general with the sport of Frisbee. So when you go to a school like Michigan State with a bunch of very large athletic homies, you can get a pretty good squad.
Would you say you have a least favorite thing about Ultimate?
Yeah, for sure. So a phrase likes to get thrown around in the Ultimate community called spirit of the game. Okay, so essentially what that means, broken down, is playing with respect for your opponents, self-officiating, having a deeper appreciation for everyone's opinion, and it's sort of the governing body behind how Ultimate Frisbee is played worldwide. That being said, when you get to a certain threshold in the development of a sport, people become so competitive that it is impossible to put your competitive drive aside and self-officiate in a lot of ways. So sort of that aspect of Ultimate Frisbee, in my opinion, is one of the worst things that exists. Because you know what I always say, you gotta let the boys play when the boys want to play. So, easy money.
What is the toughest part about being a captain?
I'd say the toughest part about being a captain is probably just managing all the players. We have a team of 34 people on varsity, and obviously people are going to have a lot of different commitments, a lot of different opinions, and a lot of different directions that they see our team going. So managing everyone and finding a role for everyone is probably the most difficult part about being a captain. And then also I'd say the second thing that's also very difficult about being a captain is making sure that you're representing yourself very well, provided the fact that a lot of your players are going to look up to you. You want to make sure that what you're doing, whether it's on the field or off the field, is a healthy representation of where you want the program to be.
Do you think that MSU Ultimate has a promising future?
I'd say so. I think a little earlier I touched on the athleticism that you get from going to a school with about 40,000 undergrads. And the nice thing about us is we've created a very, very fun environment, right? So there are a bunch of kids who are like, I don't know if I want to rush a frat, whatever. They're freshmen, they're walking through participation, and they want to find a good group of guys to hang out with that's maybe a little less intense than a frat, but it's still not just an academic organization. And I think we're able to reel in a lot of high school athletes or past high school athletes who still want to engage in some sort of athletic competition. And once we bring them in and teach them, we're able to develop a great roster. And I think this year we rostered 34 individuals, and I believe 27 of them will be returning next year. So there's a lot of development that still needs to happen, but I would be confident in saying that in our Great Lakes region, we're probably the most athletic team that you're ever going to see.
All right, last question here. I know you're going to like this one.
All right.
Do you see yourself playing Ultimate at the next level, professional level?
Professional. Well, it's funny you asked that. I actually just signed with the Detroit Mechanics, which is obviously the professional Ultimate Frisbee team based out of Detroit. So currently pursuing that avenue. I guess we'll see where that takes me in the future. But as I've mentioned before, I am the most dominant Ultimate Frisbee player in not only Michigan, but I would argue this side of the Mississippi. So yeah, it'll probably happen.
Well, you surely don't lack confidence. I got that from this interview.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much, Dex, for your time.
Thank you.